Alright, here we are, part 3, the finale of the Ratchet and Clank 3 Boxxy tutorial series. So, we've previously gone over Boxxys where you restart from a checkpoint, Boxxys where you adapt to one of multiple shapes, and now we're going to somewhat combine those concepts into the sole focus of this video, ELDF, a way to skip the ranger missions, and it's used in every main board category with the exception of 100%. So, what I'll be doing is this video will be separated into 3 sections. The first section will be going over how to set up ELDF in the any percent, all titanium bolts, and all collectibles category. The second third of the video will be dedicated to New Game Plus and New Game Plus no QE speedruns. And then the third part will be actually doing the Boxxy, because there is a bit of setup that you have to do beforehand. I should also note this is the only Boxxy where I'm actually going to show a pause frame that you can use rather than tell you to just feel out the timing and practice it, because this does take a lot of time to set up, so it's a lot more reasonable to want to use pause timing. So anyways, first we're going to start with the any percent categories. So the way we want the box to be rotated will require a bit of manipulation. When we start from a fresh file, the box is not going to be manipulated correctly, so we're going to have to break a specific set of crates. So I've set up this any percent file with Rackman, so you're going to notice like I have the suck cannon already, and I have way more bolts than what should be possible at this point in the run. Don't worry about that, that's just to make it a little easier to do this. So first, you're going to spawn into Marcadia, and you want to destroy this stack of crates. You have to destroy it or else the rotation won't be correct. In this hallway, you can destroy every crate that you could possibly want, destroy as many enemies as you want. And now right here we kind of have a little weird dilemma. So this is the one part that's going to be different between any percent and the all titanium bolts / all collectibles categories. So if you're in any percent, you might want to break this little stack right next to me. But if you're in the other two categories, then you might not want to do that. So I'm going to pretend like I'm playing all titanium bolts. Also, I have infinite health on just in case like an enemy shoots me. Enemies are annoying, who would have thought. These crates right here won't affect the rotation, else we would get them in any percent. Pretend like I got this titanium bolt, and now I'm going to get this stack. So right here we have a little dilemma. So to my left is a stack of crates shaped like an L, which happens to be what I take all the time. And to my right is a 3x2 stack of crates. You only need to break one of these stacks. It can be either one, really. Doesn't really matter which. But I highly advise you don't break both, because there is a possibility that this will mess up the rotation. Now, I have seen runners like DDD who break both stacks and they turn out fine. I don't really know which stack of crates it is that fixes that in his scenario, but I do know of one stack that can fix it. It's just that I know it's not one that DDD gets. So if you happen to break both stacks, you can just fix it by breaking this set right here, and we do get this in any percent, so this is less likely to be a problem. Now, of course, this knowledge could be somewhat flawed, and we might find out in the future that there's something else that affects it, you know, a different stack that we just didn't know of as of now. This is the best of my knowledge. I'm probably the one that knows the most about what affects the rotation here, so yeah, this is the best you're gonna get for now. So I prefer to get the L-shaped stack. It's just easier for me, and there's like an enemy nearby, so yeah, I just prefer it. But yeah, of course you can go for the other stack. I just advise not getting both. Also, hold on a second, I'm going to type a GG for a friend who is playing Lego Star Wars 2. Fucking paste-ass game. Anyway, so right here, you can get rid of this enemy by charging up a shock blaster shot. It's not bad if you want to wait, because that thing can knock you if you're like trying to glide across the bridge and it's kind of an annoying enemy. So this is where the ELDF crate is, and there's a few different ways that you can go about handling the enemies. You can just watch other runners if you want a slightly quicker way to do it, but I have a particular way that I set it up just to make sure I don't accidentally destroy the crate. So what I do is right here, I let this Tyrannoid walk over this way, group him in, and I just start killing them like that. Now, if you're in any percent, the bolt route is a little bit tight, so you might want to break as many boxes as you can, such as the ones that were surrounding that Inferno crate. If you're playing all collectibles or all titanium bolts, chances are you'll have more than enough by now to buy the suck cannon. And now here's the ELDF crate. It's that wooden crate to the left, not the wooden crate that's in between the other two crates. The ammo crate doesn't affect the rotation at all. So, I mean, we're still going to end up breaking it because you want ammo, but, you know. So there's 3 ways that you can go about this. I believe DDD long jumps into the crate with the thruster pack. That does break it, but I feel like that might be the riskiest method. I think Scotto also does that. Eli, I believe he throws the wrench from here. What I do is I get close, I break this crate, and I stand around here, and that will break just that crate. Now over here, so thankfully that Tyrannoid's attacking the Ranger, so give me time to... So as you can see, behind this wall near the dropship, actually I think there's a 5th one that we can't see, but there's, at least on screen right now, 4 3-eyed Tyrannoids. These guys can break the box if you take too long. There is just a chance that they break the box, and I find for me it's when I take too long to, like, you know, get them out or distract them. And I have seen a few runners just try and suck up the box only for there to not be a box to suck up at all. So what I do is, once I take care of this guy, I go in guns blazing. I try and make sure I have as much nitro launcher ammo as possible, and I unload that bitch onto them. But for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to show that you can still do it with Shock Blaster. So the enemies you want to focus on are this one and the ones like here. The ones that are closer to the outer ring of this little arena thing. In my experience, focusing on these guys first has made it so that I never ever have to worry about the box being gone. It's there every single time. Ever since I started doing this, I've never lost the run to the box being gone. So this is what I would advise you to do. So now let's watch me do it all with Shock Blaster ammo. So right here, shoot this guy. You want to focus first on like shooting them because that'll like stagger them and distract them and whatnot. And as you can see, the box is intact. So now what you're going to do is we have to set our checkpoint. Not set our checkpoint. Hold on, that's not the step we do yet. First, we want to buy the suck cannon. So press square, and then the suck cannon would be like 4 to the right, I believe. I already have it because, again, Rackman, but you know. Then press triangle. And now what we're going to do is take a death. Just jump right here. This is going to change the rotation of the box to what we want it now. So, have the suck cannon ready. And by the way, it doesn't matter what weapon you are holding when you enter the dropship to buy the suck cannon. It doesn't matter. You can have either one and you'll be fine. So, I recommend that you kind of study right now what the box rotation looks like. It's good to just get it ingrained into your head what it should look like. Where the lines are pointing. That's how I know like the box is in the right rotation, and I could instantly recognize on any file whether it's rotated correctly or whether I'll need to break some boxes. And usually when I find that somebody has the wrong rotation, I sometimes ask them to go through the level and I'm able to identify which boxes they forgot to break. Most of the time. Sometimes I'm still not sure. So anyways, suck up the box. Jump in the mud, re-equip the suck cannon and equip away from it to make it a little smaller, and then we go into dropship to set our checkpoint. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run around the level all over again. So you can use this time to maybe kill some extra enemies if you want, any that you missed on your first go around, if they're within range. Oh, that was a terrible side flip. And long jump over here, and then you're going to get to the box, and you're going to get the setup ELDF. But before we get to that, I have to also show off how we do it in New Game Plus, and then we'll talk about setting up the actual Boxxy. So, give me 1 second to load up NG Plus. Alright, here I am in New Game Plus. So this is how you do ELDF in New Game Plus and New Game Plus no QE. So I should specify first that there are 3 recommended methods of skipping Marcadia, as in like skipping to the end of the level, which you'll see in a moment. So the first one is the proxy. If you want to try that, just watch the world record or Tor or DDD. Then there's the Insta Whip, which is what I do. And then there's what well, not I, but what Scotto once called the Yo Andy strat, which is just like a falling neutral ledge long jump. I don't know what these things are called. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So it looks a little something like get on this tree and then you do that. So I'll show you the Insta Whip when I come back around. That's what I do in runs, albeit I'm kind of bad at Insta Whip, so I might fail it a few times. I hope I don't fail it a bunch. So anyways, so make sure you have the Plasma Storm, by the way. When you're doing like weapon menuing on what's it? Starship Phoenix, you might want to set up your weapons in a way that you'll be prepared for this. So anyways, or is it on Starship Phoenix? I mean like when you're at the end of Florana, you know. Anyway, so the reason I'm not like actually playing and describing the events at the same time is because of a bunch of autosaves. I don't want to like be in a situation where I can't pause the game if I need to, because this port is fantastic. But what you want to do basically is you want to have the Plasma Storm ready, and you're going to fire it twice. Once to clear out this first set of enemies, and then a second time to clear out the set of enemies near the ELDF crate. So it'll look something like this. So just observe carefully where I stand once I like hit this cutscene. I kind of get over here-ish. And the reason I kind of get so like close is because you can break the ELDF crate really easily, and you obviously do not want that. So yeah. Now once this is done, pull out the suck cannon. You might want to do some weapon management before you're ready to suck it up. Make sure you have your weapons in the right order to do whatever movement it is you want to do. Usually I don't have to worry about this, but you know. Anyway, so suck up the box, jump in, go in, and if you're in New Game Plus, you'll open up the menu and then buy the master plan. If you're playing in Spanish, it'll be called Plan Maestro, and in German, it'll be called Geheimplan. It'll say like Mount Crap for the description, fucking Mount Crap, and it'll kind of look like a good tripod thing. So yeah, if you're still not sure, just watch run. You may also want to buy the gravity boots depending on what command center strat you do. You might want to have a file set up in that way. Ask in the Ratchet Discord if you want help with that. So nice. Press triangle and then select this option. So now, let's say I'm attempting to get over and I am too slow, or I fail and I die. So first of all, that's the Insta Whip. Let's say I take too long. And now there's an autosave here, because what you want to do optimally is you want to make it over to the end, and you want to be able to charge through and then just get the Boxxy ready to be set up. But that might not always happen, you know. Like I said, if you take a death while trying to like do this, or you take too long to get here, maybe you're taking too long to set up your skip, well then that's no good. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to go back in the dropship. Oh yeah, by the way, in the dropship, if you respawn in the dropship, do not press triangle, because you can soft lock the game, and you don't want to do that. You'll be in a soft lock where Ratchet's kind of doing the walking out animation, but he's moving around inside the ship and he doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, just don't do that. So anyways, yeah, you'll have to restart if you die or take too long and you trigger that autosave. You'll know if you triggered the autosave, because on the bottom right it will literally say saving or guardando or salvataggio in corso, depending on what language your console is in. So if you want an alternate way, what you can do is you can go over here, stand on top of these boxes, latch grab, jump up here, and voila, you've now gotten around past the checkpoint. So this is slower, but if you're like a beginner runner, this is not a bad strat to do at all. So now it's time for the box yeet. So the way we get the box in the shape we want it to be in is first we do a double jump, and then we select the shock cannon. And now there's a few things to this. First, you see on the top left how it shows the last 3 weapons I've equipped. I really wish this wasn't like this ugly orangish color. It's so weird. Anyways, you want the suck cannon to be the second weapon in that rotation, and of course you want to make sure that you've actually sucked up the box. If you break additional crates during the process of this, you might fuck it up, and when you're trying to do what I'm about to show you, you might not get the box to move at all. So yeah, you just want to leave like, I recommend like you watch the any percent portion of this video and just see what crates affect the rotation, so you know, okay, let's try and leave these intact if possible. So anyways, so the way you want to do this, I'm going to do it and then I'm going to explain what I just did. So what I just did right there is I selected the shot cannon, and I selected it in a way that like I made sure to like kind of have, the best way to kind of describe it is you want to make sure that like the text shows up and that the icon is actually selected, so that way the game knows you want the shot cannon. But you also want to do all that quick enough, because if you're quick enough with it, the game will believe you're trying to do a quick switch. You know how the game is like tap triangle to swap between the last few weapons you equipped. So with that series of inputs that I did, I got the game to do two things at once. It knew I wanted the shock cannon, but it also thought I wanted the quick switch, and it has the suck cannon out for just a few frames, just enough frames to give us the correct box rotation. If the box rotation is still not correct, chances are like you may have borked the rotation somehow by like breaking a box, or you might have just I'm actually not sure, because I know like Yugi, for example, he sometimes struggles and he like gets like a frame before this. I think it might just be that he does it too early or too late. I'm not really sure. I just recommend at the peak of your jump is when you do this, basically. Also, sorry Yugi if you're watching this, I did not mean to oh, nice capture card, by the way. Anyways, I did not mean to make an example of you. Anyway, so I really hope the capture card doesn't do that again. So now after this, if you're in New Game Plus, just open the quick select and select lock strafe. If you are in any percent, what you can do is first you'll click on this button, the third button, which will be the gadgets menu, and then swap to the helipack. Your cursor should be on the thruster pack. You're going to move one over to select the helipack, and then go to the right. The way you should set up your cursor before runs is it's actually optimal to put the camera controls on your weapons menu. I did count the inputs and it's a tiny bit faster. So before runs, I would recommend you just like have the cursor on either lock strafe or third person, and make sure to have pressed square at some point when setting up all the cursors, so it will be set on this. So what it'll look like in any percent, you do this, or hold on, pause, gadgets, go over to helipack, R2 to go over here, and then I quickly select this and then this. If you are doing all collectibles, you may also want to add first person mode because of some of the skill points, like the one on Blackwater City. And then I unpause and then I select lock strafe. Now, how do we position Ratchet on the box? Well, as you can see, there's a few lines on the box. So there's two lines that extend from this corner to this one, and then there's these two tiny ones on the sides. So for now, we're going to focus on the two big lines. So actually, I'm going to swap my skin, by the way. And there's an important reason why I'm doing this. I'm going to swap it to this one. So the Santa Ratchet shoes are identical to the shoes of the Alpha Combat suit that Ratchet wears when you start a new file. So in order to kind of make this setup as transferable for any percent, I'm going to use this skin because, I mean, I guess you could also use, I could just swap to the Alpha Combat suit and remove the charge boots, but too late now. If you want a good skin to use for New Game Plus runs, I would recommend this one because the shoes are identical shape to the Alpha Combat. So if you ever run any percent or all titanium bolts or something, you know, the setup will be transferable. So what I do, I look at the back of Ratchet's shoes, and you see how like the lines on the box, let me swap to first person. You see how on the lines there's this bright part and then there's this dark part. I make sure that Ratchet's shoe is never like even touching like the dark part. Like if I see this I know will fail. So I kind of go up. I make sure that like the back of Ratchet's foot is like just above the dark part. You can probably go a little bit higher, maybe even this high, but I don't really want to be too, like, you know. It is a little bit of a generous setup. You don't have to do pixel perfect inputs. I'm making it seem like you do, but you really don't. So let's just say, can my capture card please not do this right now? Thanks. So let's say I just set up the box, and now I'm in lock strafe. So now I'll kind of go a little bit down, but not too far down. And now, where do I look? So you're going to aim your reticle up. So as you can see, the shot cannon reticle has like 3 sets of curved lines. There's the 2 inner rings, then there's the 2 big ones, and there's the 2 big ones being the 2nd and the 5th one, and there's the 2 on the very outer edge of like the reticle section. For this, we're going to focus on the 3rd one from the left, so the middle left one, I guess. So I take the curved part, and you see this star right here, this star that's in the middle of my reticle right now. I have the curved part touch like the star. Again, it's not this precise, but I usually, like, you know, I try and have as accurate as possible. I obviously don't, like, I try not to take forever to set this up, but try and have it somewhat close to this. So let's recap. Ratchet's shoes not even touching this line. You can see they're just above it. Reticle around here. And now for the jump. So as I said before, I'm going to teach you a pause frame that you can use. So first, I actually recommend you jump with L1. You might not be used to that, but you're going to have to get used to it. So jump with L1 and make sure you do not let go until like you've at least like paused. Do not let go until you've paused. Once you've paused, you can let go. And the reason for this is because if you like only like tap L1, you might not get the correct height and you will not get the correct box launch. So how do we know what the correct frame is? So the correct frame, this will apply to both NE% and NG+. The back of the design of the shock blaster, which we do use for this, is a tiny bit different, but the visual cue is otherwise the same. So you're gonna jump, and let me first hit the right frame so I can show you like what it should look like. There we go. So you see how on the back of the shock blaster, let me see if I can, oh, it shows me the front of the gun. God damn it. Okay. You can kind of see it in this menu though. So you see how on the back of the shock blaster or the shock cannon, there is a blue light. What we want is we want like the very bottom of that light to be touching the line underneath this menu option. In Spanish, it's Armas. In German, it'd be Waffen. So please just hold out a little longer to my capture card. Please just hold out for the end of this. So as you can see, the very bottom of the light is touching the bottom of the line on this menu option. You could probably go like 1 frame later, that might work, although I'm usually very picky and I make sure I get pretty much this exact frame. So once you get this, you can now swap to the suck cannon and you can unpause the game. And now this next part is going to be the difficult part. And I'm going to probably like purposefully fail this, like not the part after this, just so that I can have a second chance to show you, because I want to be able to show you like a few like successful attempts. So I've selected the suck cannon, now I'm going to unpause. Make sure you shoot, and now just start gliding. And now, so you see how this building has like this dome shape right here, and at the bottom of the dome is like this kind of gold ring and this like gray stuff. So you kind of want to bounce just outside the ring. So I do recommend watching some runs as well to kind of get a general idea of where you can look, but I'll also kind of pause and like I'm going to try and add an image so that you can kind of see the general area. So first, I'm actually going to purposely not get the bounce just so I can have like the chance to look down. All right, so I'm going to add, where is he? All right, say hi to Crash Bandicoot. You were probably not expecting to see him in a Ratchet and Clank video, but it's important for this. So around right here is kind of the area where Ratchet can bounce. Actually, let me go a little forward. Okay, there we go. Around right here, if I land on this general area, pretend like the pause menu is not there to bother you. Around like right here, this is where Ratchet can bounce. So Of course, I went too far, so now I won't be able to get it at all, but that's fine. It was kind of my intention to fail. So let me once again set my checkpoint here. Let me rack my way over. Oh. Okay, there we go. You can tell, I love the fact that that first position was for practicing LDF. Fucking amazing, man. Anyway, so let me do this all over again. So this is also a good chance to kind of run through the steps again. So suck up the box. And now I'm in here. You want to set your checkpoint in the dropship. You're not going to spawn here, probably. So anyways, do whatever strat that you want to get to the other side of this arena. I think I've taken too long, so I'm just going to have to do this, which is fine by me. I really hope my capture card can just hold out a little longer. And now jump and like that. Swap to lock strafe, and now once again, there we go. Because right here is like too low probably. If I had tried doing the launch with this, like if I'm too low on the box, it'll probably just not work. I mean, maybe it might work if I'm this low, but I really don't feel like testing it. Better safe than sorry. It's better to be a little higher than you think you need to be than a little lower than you think you need to be. Because I find like I'm more successful even if like I'm up like here, I could probably still get it. Not sure about the height that I need though. Once again, line up your reticle like this. Use the star and put it to the curve of the inner reticle. Jump, hold L1 the whole time. This frame might work. You know what? I'm willing to test it. Yep, it worked. Yeah, make sure the bottom of the shot cannon light is intersecting with the bottom line on this menu option. And when I say bottom line, I feel like I didn't clarify enough. You see how all the pause menu options are separated by lines? Yeah. So now let me show you me actually bouncing on the building. Okay. Once, by the way, make sure you don't start gliding until you've actually bounced. I'm going to take a death because I don't want to touch the refractor. Make sure that you do not start gliding until you have bounced. You have to like really get used to knowing when you hit the bounce spot, because or maybe it's not my capture card, maybe it's the splitter, I don't know. You have to just be ready to start hitting glide when you bounce, but you don't want to do it too early or else you may overshoot. That is the hardest part of ELDF, is getting the bounce. So I'm going to try and show a couple more successful attempts. I'll show like a few more. First, let me set up my weapon menuing. I'm just going to use Rackman to get over here, because by now you know the steps to get here. And so now, set it up again. This is too late, that won't make it, that's too early. Way too early. That might work, but I'm going to try for a safer frame. That's too late. Might work, not sure. This will work. So I'm just going to do this a few times so that you can see me successfully hit this. Now you can see I was really far out of the ring, but I was like kind of forward enough to get it. I'll show one last successful attempt, and then I'll end the video. Like I said, I think you should watch like runs as well, because that will give you like, that was what helped me really understand the ELDF bounce spot a lot, is watching runs as well. I like to think this tutorial does help, but for like a kind of, for the maximum amount of possible knowledge on where the bounce spot generally is, first of all, I muscle memory this like I was actually doing a run. I do recommend just watching a bunch of runs as well. So yeah, watch like the top no QE runs, the top like any percent runs. So I'll do this one more time. And if it helps, by the way, before I continue this, if it helps, you can slow down Ratchet's glide by holding down on the analog stick. It will not affect this next part. Once you bounce, you want to start mashing glide, and also make sure you're looking down. Start like mashing glide, and you'll hit the refractor. And with that, you'll have successfully done ELDF. So as you're falling, if you're in New Game Plus, equip the N60, then the Plasma Storm. If you're in any percent, just equip the Shock Blaster. And when you're here, press triangle, and voila, you have skipped all the Ranger missions. So I once again I want to thank you if you've watched even one of these Boxxy videos. If this has helped anyone in any way, I am eternally grateful. I made this tutorial series for a reason, and that was because Boxxys are a strategy that, oh my fucking god, capture card stop. I'm having a moment right here. Boxxys just really changed the game in a very positive way. They have made me love the game more than I ever thought I could. They have gotten rid of a lot of strats that I didn't like about the game, and they made it much faster, much cooler, much more fun. And I want other people to be able to get that same enjoyment, which is why I made this tutorial series. I want people to realize doing Boxxys is not that difficult. I want them to have a resource for the biggest game changers since the charge boot tech that Silence found. So if this has helped you, I'm eternally grateful for that. And I hope to see you on the leaderboards. And who knows, maybe one day you'll manage to be at the top with the likes of people like me, DDD, Torb, Scotto. And believe me, I'd love to see that. I want to get bopped. So with that, have a good one, y'all.